What do you get when you pre-order an unlicensed 1/6 scale action figure? You get more than you deserve, sometimes. Here is the Toys Era 1/6 scale The Comedian, aka Joaquin Phoenix's The Joker figure. Here's the intro. Okay, quite simply, you can see you've got this PE box here. It's just a basic shipper. It comes with, I bought this from gianttoy.com. There's not much on it, it's just cardboard. So let's just open it up and see what the box looks like. Okay, we're just gonna pull this off and get the fuck out of here. Okay, and here's the front of the packaging. They've got this sort of cool text. It just says happy face. For some strange reason, it says happy face all over this packaging, despite the fact it's called The Comedian. And in actual fact, there's absolutely no branding on the front of this, no Toys Era logos or anything. So I don't know, maybe they were actually a little bit worried about Warner Brothers stepping in and kicking their butts. So they literally didn't put any branding on this whatsoever. But you can see there's some very nice text there. And it comes around, the white splatter spreads across onto the side of the box. And then on the back, all you've got is a warning with 1/6 scale collectible action figure and more splatter, but obviously it's more red and a bit lighter. Same on that side, nothing up the top, nothing at the bottom. Let's slide the slip sleeve off and see what we get underneath. And underneath we've got a card insert and it says, put on happy face. That's, yeah, they mean put on a happy face, but for some strange reason, either they didn't put the A in or their English isn't very good, but hey, their English is a lot better than my Chinese, that's for sure. I really like this. It looks really nice. It looks really cool. And it's a nice bit of presentation for the actual packaging, because then you can slide this out and it's quite a thick piece of card. Come on, get out here now. And there's the packaging inside. But on this side here, you flip it over and it's actually the curtains from the movie, which is really cool. I really like that. And it's quite a nice thick piece of card. If you've got a D12 cabinet, I think it'll fit in there fairly okay. And yeah, you can have the figure standing in front of it. That's a nice little touch. And here he is out of the box in all his glory. I've put him into a little bit of a pose. You can see he comes with some extra hands. He comes with 6 hands in total. He comes with 3 head sculpts, which is really cool. He comes with this really cool sort of revolver 6-shooter, but it's also like die cast. But the problem is the revolver barrel piece just keeps falling out. I don't know what's going on with that, so I'll show you that in a minute, but it's very loose. But you can hear it's die cast. It comes with extra wrist pegs in case you break some, always handy. And he also comes with this sort of paper flowers that are actually, they do actually feel like some sort of paper, which is really cool. And they've got this little cool stem that twists them all together. Very nice touch. Slide that back into the hand, and he comes with the sort of mask that inspires his real face paints that he uses in the movie. But that's really all he comes with. I think he's also supposed to come with a cigarette, but unfortunately the cigarette wasn't in the box when I opened it. So I think Toys Era or whoever made this messed up. It was advertised as Toys Era. It was called The Comedian. Nothing on the box suggests it's called The Comedian. Nothing suggests it's from Toys Era. It's just called Happy Face. So I don't know really. The only thing that would actually give it away if you didn't know through pre-order that it was Toys Era is maybe the base, because they've been using these for a lot of their X-Men figures. And normally there's a magnetic slot here for a nameplate, but they've completely covered that over with a bit of plastic. And it's a bit garish and slightly ugly, but it's not a bad looking stand, to be honest. This isn't why you came, is it? You didn't want to come and see the stand. You didn't really want to see the gun. You want to see the head sculpts, because everybody wants to know if they're good or bad. And quite honestly, they're actually good. Honestly, they are really good. I mean, this is definitely the best of the 3, but they're all reasonably well made. And in fact, I think the Joaquin Phoenix non-face paint version is probably the weakest. So if we pull it up and just show you here, this is actually quite good. It's not like straight on. You can probably tell that looks a little less like Phoenix than you would like. And this the scar lip here, it's not very prevalent. It's very, very weak. I would have liked that to be a little bit stronger, but it's not too bad. I mean, it does look like Arthur Fleck, The painting on the hair, not too bad. There's some layering in there. And also you can see the skin flecking just all the way around. It's quite nice. Hopefully you can see that. I'm trying to show it as best I can. It's, yeah, like I said, it's probably the weakest of the three, but it's still not too bad. And here's the smirking head sculpt. That's pretty cool. Definitely the weakest part is probably the earlobes here. It looks a little lacking in detail, but you can see with the lighting, you can see all the creases in the eye here. The white obviously washes it out, and I think that's going to be the hardest thing with these Jokers, is getting the details of the skin, because that white is really going to reflect back into the camera and knock down some of those details, which is why I prefer it if you did like HD pictures or use HD cameras to try and show those details a little bit more. But we can see the painting around the mouth. It's a lot thicker around the lips, and then it starts to fade on the edges here around the white makeup. The nose is pretty good. It does look hand painted, which it's meant to do. Obviously it's not as good as the prototype, and if you're new to 1/6 scale collecting and you thought you were going to get a figure that looks exactly like the prototype, sorry, but those are always this is the best it's ever going to look, and then the mass-produced figure afterwards tends to lose some of the detail, because you know they have plenty of time to do the prototype as long as they want, and then the mass-produced one, they only have a certain amount of time to get the details in. But you can see that's not bad. The green hair does look a little bit swampy. It's a little darker. I thought it was a bit brighter in the film. But the eyes are really nice and glossy. The face paint around the eye is really clean. It's not splodging up into the eye or anything. Or the eyelid, it's separate. And then you've got those weird little eyebrows that look like they've just been brushed on. Again, everybody says, a lot of people have said this is the weakest, but I don't think so. At least it has some personality about it. So when you actually pose it on the figure, it's going to look pretty cool. And then the last head sculpt, and as we can see, this is probably the best painted with the face paints. With the lips, it's really faded around the edges. Even the end of the nose here, it's a lot more faded. And then the detail with the streaking bit of blue paint down the side. This is, I think this is more like when he comes out of the subway and he's smoking that cigarette. He has that sort of bit of sweat running down when the policemen are getting attacked. He just walks away casually. And I think this is probably the best head sculpt, most definitely. It is a shame because you would have liked the laughing head sculpt or the smirking head sculpt to be the best one. But you can't have everything. And I really like the sideburns here. They look really good. Yeah, absolutely love this. But there is, of course, less wrinkling and stuff because he's not smiling. His brow, he's got some detail in there. I'm trying to get all the details I can. But unfortunately, everything gets washed out because of the camera and the lighting. So I hope you're picking this up like I am. And again, I wish the hair was a little bit lighter green than it is. But you can still see there's some layering in there. And one of the things that first surprised me when I actually opened this was the suit. It is a little bit thick in parts, but obviously I don't think you can do anything about that. But I don't know if you can see, but it's very shiny. It's got a very sort of silky, satiny finish to it. I didn't notice that. I didn't notice it in the film really, and I didn't notice it in the actual prototype. I just thought this was a sort of normal soft red cotton suit, but it's obviously not. It's very satiny, it's very shiny. I'll try and turn it so you can see some of the light reflecting, but it's very thin. You know the inside lining of a coat, you know when you look inside and it's got that very smooth lining. This whole jacket feels that way. Okay, and as we can see, the suit is very nicely tailored. It's actually really well made. This jacket is really nice and thin. It's a little bit thick up at the lapels, but that's not too bad a thing. I mean, you've got to remember this is 1/6 scale. And they've got some really nice details in there, like these small tiny buttons and these pockets here. They're just stitched in, they're not real pockets or anything. But you can see the stitching is nice and clean all the way down the side here. Got some nice clean seams down into the arm. If we turn it around, it's probably the most puffiest is when it's looking at the back, you can see. But again, very straight. No loose threads, nothing. It's very clean all the way around. You've got to give him props for that. And you open it up, you can see that waistcoat, very nice. And when you open it up like this, it really pops with this red, doesn't it? And you can see there's some little button details in there, and because they're actually sort of stuck on there and not sewn on or anything like that, they fit very close to the actual tailored waistcoat. And this tailored waistcoat feels a little suede-y as well. So not only have you got this sort of satiny, silky finish on the jacket, you've got a very suede feeling waistcoat here. So that's, again, you've got to give them bonuses for the textures. They really work. And then we come underneath and it's velcroed on, so we'll pull this open and we can see this shirt here. And this is very thin as well. I was very surprised to see how thin this was. It's got the same design and print as the actual movie. All these little details like the buttons here. I think Toy Zero have done a really great job, I really do. And this collar is really flush to the actual top of the shirt here. It's not sticking out too much. It used to be that when they made shirts in 1/6 scale, they used to be really puffy and billow out and just not look right. They were just horrible to look at most of the time. So suits never look good. But they've nailed that now. They've locked it down and they've managed to get this sort of thin, sort of card stiff like feeling to the top of the collar. But it really works. You can see it's absolutely flush to the shirt and it's not too thick around the neck. One of the problems I have noticed about this suit though is the trousers. This here is Velcro and this part here is supposed to be Velcro as well, but it's not really sticking to that Velcro very well and it keeps popping open. Look, it doesn't fit very well. It really won't stick. So you definitely got to put that closed as much as possible and then get that waistcoat and put that over the front to hide the fly falling open all the time, because you don't want Joker's fly open. That would just be inappropriate. I can't think but laugh that Joker from the film would absolutely love the fact that Toy Zero are making an unlicensed version of him, you know, embrace the chaos sort of thing. So you know, I really think this is something that Joker would actually think was hilarious himself, because the company who actually made this wouldn't be getting paid, and he'd think that was very funny. The seam lines down the suit are very straight. The whole thing looks really great. And then we come to the shoes. And these are all sculpted in. There's no material. It's just sculpted shoes as per normal. Nicely painted and clean. They could have done with a bit more weathering, but I don't blame them. They've even sculpted in some creases there. And the shoelaces are a little thick, but that's not too bad. They've even gone around and done the detail around the back of the shoe here. And on the bottom, we can see they've put the sole. Absolutely great detail. And if you pull up, he's got little white socks on, which is awesome. So if you need to, you just futz with this suit a little bit and you should be able to get this looking pretty sweet, if I'm honest. Articulation wise, he's very typical of a 1/6 scale figure, but he does actually have a little bit more posability because the clothing is reasonably loose. So you are able to get some poses out of him. The only problem is this sculpted head and neck looks great. It really adds to the realism, but there isn't a lot of move there. You can move left, you can move right, but there's not a lot of forward and back and things like that. But that's because it's fixed into that neck peg down the bottom. But obviously he's got shoulders. They go all the way up, come down. He does have a bit of a butterfly rotation in there, which is really good. There is bicep swivel. It seems to be more prevalent in this side here than it does this side, so I'll have to have a look into that. But it could be that's just a little bit stuck. And he has double bend in the elbow, and that arm hand can come all the way up. And then you've got wrist pegs in that can do total rotation. Fantastic, don't you think? He does have some sort of torso bend, but it's not a lot. He does bend more back in the waist, and he does swivel quite well all the way around to there. And you can get the legs up all the way to the front like that. He's got a double bend in the knee and they're ratcheted, and then you've got a thigh swivel here, and you've got ankle rock, lots of ankle pivot. I think these are going to get loose in time, but for the moment they're absolutely brilliant, nice and stiff. Loads of ankle pivot, and they can spin any way you so wish. He's not too bad actually. He's really good for posing. And as you can see, he can get into some all sorts of crazy poses. I've put the smiling head sculpt on, and he's just having a cheeky little dance while he waits to go on to see his favourite TV presenter in the whole world. But while he's having a dance, let's have a quick look at all the accessories he comes with. This is the die-cast 6-shooter that he comes with. It's actually very nice. It's very metal and stuff, but it falls open really easily. I think I might actually have to glue that in here just to keep it from falling out. I don't need it falling out anytime soon. But obviously this is going to be the crescendo of his interview with Murray, which is absolutely twisted. And then of course you've got the Joker mask, and this is really well done, guys, honestly. Very well painted, very clean. It's got these little tufts of hair sticking out the side. It does look like a 1/6 scale version of this mask perfectly. Even the teeth are well painted. And he's got that elastic band in the back, and you can put that on his face if you so wish. In fact, let's try that. Let's see what he looks like with this on his face. Boom. Looks pretty cool, but I'm not going to keep it on there. I don't really want it rubbing on the face paints too much. It is a reasonable quality figure and I don't want to damage it, so that'll be something he'll either hold in his hand or he'll have sticking out of a pocket somewhere or falling down by his feet. Hands wise, he comes with 2 relaxed hands, 2 gun hands and 2 fisted hands, and they're all pretty much the same. You can see they've actually done skin flecking in there. Like I said, it's very hard nowadays to get bad hands in 1/6 scale. They're like their bread and butter now. They're very, very simple to do. They know what they're doing with them and they're always good. And then we have the paper flowers, and I've already shown you them, so I won't be dwelling on them too much. Lots of lovely colours, really well made. They obviously look like flowers. You've got these little metal stems here all twisted together. This works fantastically as well. And he'd obviously hold these in his hand, but he's sort of dropping it now, but never mind. I think that's about it. The only thing I can think that I could actually more have mentioned now is the stand, because the stand, I'll try and lie this guy down without damaging him. But this stand is actually really well made. You've got a sort of dirty flooring type thing, very matte, very rough texture, so there's not a lot of worry about scratching it. It's really well made. Obviously it's very much like all the Hot Toys figures that have been coming out lately with these square bases. Superbly sturdy, very well made, very strong. And if you notice here, can you see? This looks a little bit like my intro openings, doesn't it? That's probably why I like it so much, you know? But there's nothing on the bottom, there's no light up features or anything. But it is a very well constructed stand. And he's not going to be falling down off of it anytime soon. And here he is finally with the unmasked head sculpt on. My final thoughts. This is a really, really nice figure. I know it's very hard to slag it off really, because Toys Era did a great job, especially with the 2 clown face head sculpts. And obviously this Joaquin Phoenix one for me is the weakest of the 3. But hey, it's still not terrible. But yeah, it does lack a little bit of the likeness. But overall, this is a really nice release. Again, it's not breaking any new ground. It is a 1/6 scale body with 1/6 scale clothing and 1/6 scale head sculpts. Very, very simple. It's not too hard to do. It doesn't challenge any of the processes that the factories have in place already, but then it doesn't need to. I would say if you want multiple head sculpts, this Toys Era figure is probably the best way to go. If you're looking for just a simple clown face sort of Joker, I think the M Toys one has been shown off. That's got a slightly more gaunt face, sort of thinner face, which I think works a lot better for that movie. So M Toys, nice simple figure, I think that would be the way to go. And we'll see what the SW Toys one is like. I don't know what it's going to be like. It looks the weakest of all the 3 that I've seen sort of teased. But if it's at a better price point than the Toys Era one and the M Toys one, then that possibly would be a bit of a better budget version. But honestly, out of all of them, I think if you were to buy all 3 and mix and match the bits you want out of all 3 of them, you're probably going to get the best version of this Joaquin Phoenix Joker you could ever get. Am I glad I picked him up? Absolutely. He's fantastic. He's supposed to come with a cigarette, but mine just wasn't in the box. I looked everywhere. It's not there. So be careful and have a look inside your packaging to see if they've missed anything out of it. I do think they rushed this a little bit, so there will be parts missing or there may be damage or whatever. But what you do is you contact your supplier as soon as possible once you receive it, and they should be able to help you out. It's not a guarantee, but hopefully they will be able to help you out. Okay, and finally, I've managed to steal the cigarette off Winston Zedmore, and I've got him holding one, just so you can see what it's like. And I think that looks really cool. But remember guys, smoking kills. But other than that, I really like this guy. Things to be careful of. Be careful when moving the head around, it can easily pop off because there isn't a lot of movement in that head, I'm afraid. It's probably the weakest part of the articulation. And also if you've got greasy hands, greasy fingers, this is a very smooth, satiny, sort of silky suit. So when you're touching it, the grease is going to rub off on it and it's going to show up. So do yourself a favor and keep your hands clean when you're posing this guy. I was really happy with the way they turned this around very quickly. I was surprised by how fast they actually got these out into the stores. But they did a great job with it. I don't really have many complaints. It looks great. It has an imposing presence on the shelf and it really does catch your eye with all those colors popping. I highly doubt I'm going to use the backdrop, but it's there if you really want to use it. I think Toy Zero are doing a second batch of this, so keep your eyes on the stores, 16Kit, Giant Toys, and tnsfigures.com, places like that, because this guy is highly likely to pop back up again. Okay guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Like and subscribe, and if you could do me a favor now, if you can get the fuck out of my cave, I'm going to put this guy where he belongs, right next to the Jack Nicholson and Heath Ledger Jokers. Bye bye guys.